there, gang. I'm MyRadar meteorologist Matthew Cappucci with a quick tropical update, and we have 3 different systems to watch. Obviously, there's Erin. We've talked about that for days, but there are 2 other systems over the Central Atlantic's main development region, both pushing west and both with odds of development. Now, Erin is now a Category 2 hurricane, winds to around 105 miles per hour. It is pushing north and will fringe the Outer Banks with decently strong winds to about 40-50 miles per hour and some storm surge there. Then we also have this tropical wave over the Central Atlantic with a 60% chance of development. And then, oh wait, there's more. This one that just moved off the coast of Africa, getting its act together pretty early. It is now dubbed an Invest 99L. I'm also keeping tabs on the Gulf in about 10 to 12 days. Nothing imminent, nothing occurring, but just kind of a spidey sense that some of the models are giving me. Obviously a lot to track, so we'll dive right in with the latest, starting off with Erin. Erin looks kind of ugly and lopsided today. Granted, don't we all? But you'll notice all the heavy storms are mainly south and east of the center. The northwest side looks a little weak and ragged, and that's because of disruptive shear or a change of wind speed and or direction with height. Basically, you have northwesterly winds strong at the mid-levels blowing all the thunderstorms southeast of the center. So you can see the shear, the dry air is really doing a number on Erin. It's kind of knocked the storm off kilter, and that's why winds have come down from the Category 4 range down to Category 2. You can even look at the upper levels and notice all the cirrus, the high, thin, wispy clouds at the upper levels, fanning away south of the center. That's the outflow, the exhaust. There's nothing really north of the center because the winds have literally pushed all the exhaust south of the storm. The inner core is also much more ragged, degraded too. It's almost like a hurricane. Things are cooking east of the center, but to the west, not really all that much. It's an open eye wall, and really the eye wall itself is taking on a very messy, sloppy shape. For comparison, here's 24 hours ago, and you can see it looked way better. It was a tight ring. I think Erin's slow speed has also allowed for some upwelling, or basically the mixing up, the churning up of some cooler waters below the sea surface. We can even see that on some of the plots. You can see a little cooler area right there. The seawaters have cooled like 3 or 4 degrees. In the coming days, Erin will pass between the Outer Banks and Bermuda. Off in the open ocean, we're expecting waves of 50 to 90 feet, so freighters and cruise ships alike are avoiding that area. But at the coastline, I do think the Outer Banks will see winds gusting 40 to 55 miles per hour, especially far right near the ocean. And that is tropical storm force. That's why we have a tropical storm warning in effect for the Outer Banks, and watches now all the way up towards Virginia Beach. We also have a storm surge watch in effect. Erin will push ashore 2 to 4 feet worth of water. That doesn't sound like all that much, but a 2 to 4 foot surge is, in the Outer Banks, enough to cause flooding of Highway 12 in Ocracoke and Hatteras Island, so there are actually some evacuation orders down there. By late week, we'll see Erin start to feel some jet stream energy and begin its transition into a non-tropical system, which basically means the wind field expands, the max winds come down a little bit, they weaken a little, and then we have dry air punch in the backside and carve the system into a comma shape rather than a symmetric system. Then it zips into the North Atlantic. But there's one thing that's giving me a little bit of pause and making me a touch nervous, and that's the morning European model simulation, which shows all of Erin's tropical moisture, and some of it tries to waft north ahead of Erin, and there's a chance that Wednesday night to Thursday morning, some of that moisture could pool along a frontal boundary near like New York City and Long Island. And if that's the case, a very narrow strip of heavy downpours could result. I think it's unlikely to occur, but if it does occur, it could be locally significant. We call this a predecessor rain event. This is not like a classic predecessor rain event setup, but nonetheless, some of the ingredients are there, and we'll be watching later on tonight for other model runs to see if others come into agreement. Now let's talk the other 2 systems in the Atlantic. Here you see them. The one on the left, the west, has a 60% chance of development, and the one to the right, just coming off the coast of Africa, has a 30% chance. The lead one, technically speaking, does have a better chance of forming into something, but right now it's kind of strung out. The wave axis is elongated and the spin is sort of stretched out. We can see there's obviously some curl, but you're not really seeing any compact, tight center of spin. Whereas this one that just rolled off the coast of Africa is already being dubbed an Invest 99L. Basically, it says the Hurricane Center is watching it and running some higher res models to try to figure out what it's going to do. If we take a look at scatterometer data, a microwave instrument that can look down and ascertain what the winds are doing, you can see there is some pretty good curvature, but the winds haven't really fully curled back on themselves yet, so it's trying to pinch off a center, but hasn't quite done so. So for now, that spin remains broad. There's a chance that some of those thunderstorms, the convection, shower, thunderstorm activity, could stretch that spin upwards and help tighten it. That remains to be seen. Across the Atlantic as a whole, though, we can see that lead disturbance chugs along, and actually might start to develop towards Thursday or Friday as it approaches the Leeward Islands, giving them some wind, some rain, likely as a tropical depression. Then it might push north into the open ocean and take a path similar or just to the east of that of Erin. The secondary disturbance is better in the short term, but then it kind of falls apart. By Thursday, Friday, it finds a less favorable environment near and east of the Lesser Antilles. So it's kind of weird. The lead disturbance has lousier structure now, but will have a better environment down the road and might develop. The second disturbance is better now, but will have lesser prospects in the long term. Kind of counterintuitive. Lastly, one other thing on my radar. It is way too early for model specific, so I'm not showing you any specific models, but all I will say is that some of the models indicate a pattern that would be supportive of tropical formation somewhere near the Caribbean, Western Caribbean, or the Gulf sometime in the late August into early September timeframe. It's that time of year you have to watch, and the models are just kind of making me pay attention. So if I'm paying attention, you should be too. We'll talk more in detail down the road as details start to emerge.
Follow MyRadar on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Download MyRadar on iOS, Android, Amazon Alexa, and Windows.